Feast TV is presented by Missouri Wine. Welcome to the Feast 50 edition of Feast TV. This month, we're introducing you to some of the St. Louis region's most amazing culinarians. So first up in this episode, we're gonna take you to Pappy's to meet Mike Emerson, who you've surely met if you've ever been there. And then it's off to Mai Ly to meet Quy Tran, whose family opened St. Louis's first Vietnamese restaurant. Our next segment takes you to Niche, where we introduce you to Gerard Kraft, perhaps the most well-known chef in the city. And then you'll meet Kevin Nashin and go behind the scenes at the No Kid Hungry Dinner, an event that brought the culinary community together in one kitchen. The cooking demonstration that I'm gonna do with this episode is actually one of St. Louis's favorite dishes. Now, on the menu at Sydney Street are their veal dumplings. If you've never tried to make them at home, I'm going to show you pretty much how to do it. This recipe's been adapted by the folks over at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and so while you can always go to Sydney Street to have this iconic St. Louis dish, now you're gonna be able to make it at home. The Sydney Street dumplings, I'm going to pair that with this Augusta Vignoles. Vignoles, obviously, is a white wine, and Augusta Winery is in the Augusta region of Missouri wine country, and little known fact, Augusta was actually the first AVA in the entire country. So this Vignoles has tropical fruit and pineapple aromas. It has a little bit of sweetness, and that is going to go beautifully with the spicy, sticky, sweet sauce that we have on those dumplings. So let's head over to Pappy's and meet Mike.
An old cat once said that a rising tide raises all ships, and I like to think of Mike Emerson as our local version of Danny Meyer.
Mike Emerson may claim to not be a chef. But what he does do is create an experience at his restaurant, and he's also put us back on the map in St. Louis for barbecue.
Basically, the guy's like uber supportive of everyone in town, just trying to make it to where he's promoting not just himself, but everybody else.
And on top of that, he's just a kind, generous, and talented man.
I always tell everybody that barbecue is not a menu item, it's an experience. What's good today? That's like asking me which one of my kids I like the best. When people walk in the door, as soon as I see them get that first smell of what we do, a friend of mine once described it as like with bees, the smoke has a calming effect. And you can see it, it's just great. I mean, people come in and they know it's all gonna be okay. We're gonna have a little barbecue. My good friend and partner and brother from another mother, Skip Steele, always says, you know, if you're gonna paint a pretty picture, you have to start out with a nice canvas. And so what we do is we buy the highest quality meats we can. And when you start there, it's kind of hard for me to mess it up. So, you know, you get some wonderful butchers and things like that and you work with them and that's how it all grows. Okay, what we got on here right now is we have some loin back ribs. Most days we can cook between 300 and 500 slabs a day. Usually we're cooking now about 3,000 to 4,000 pounds of barbecue a day. There's a rumor going around now that if my truck goes by the hog farm, they all duck down when I drive by, so push their cousins up to the front. We got you all set?
We're good.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Can we take a picture?
I would be honored. How are you folks today? Glad to have you here. Appreciate you coming down. You doing all right, gentlemen? You're a barbecue ambassador. God bless you. Everybody doing all right?
Awesome.
Well,
Say, you need to go wash your hands now.
how about you, boss? Was everything good? Got some knuckle for me? Well, I'm kind of a glorified greeter. That's what I tell everybody. I mean, I'm so honored that people will travel. You're from Ohio? Yeah.
I'm gonna brag for you out in Baltimore.
Got a Longhorn. I know I got my work cut out for me. Where do you call home?
Kansas City. Every time I'm up in Mississippi, we gotta come here and eat.
Well, when Mississippi girls like my barbecue, I take that as a high compliment. Thank you. All right, now when you get to Canada, you gotta wear these for me, all right? You promise? Now I tell everybody we're international. It started out, people started traveling from in the neighborhood, then from around the city, and then from across the United States, and now they travel from all over the world. Who am I meeting?
I'm here from the UK.
From the UK? It's an honor to have you here today.
From the UK to say,
Thank you very much. And so I think it's kind of important that when somebody goes that far, I know they go by a lot of barbecue places that come here, so we need to treat them with as much respect and have as much fun as we can. All right, you're almost there. Now you see this sign, right? If you don't have your mind made up, you gotta go all the way to the back of the line. Skip calls it a barbecue communion, and I kind of like that term, you know? As the people go in line, we have all these rugs here. Well, when we originally started, I had that rug right there. It's about 3 foot long, and then I put this second rug in. So I counted, and I thought, well, if we can keep 10 people in line, and so my opening day speech, I kind of stood at the end of that rug, and I told everybody, I said, now if we can get a line to the end of this rug, we're going to be good to go. Well, now we've just added more rugs. So the big joke in the morning is, boss, has the line reached the end of the rug yet? Well, the rug now runs about 200 feet, so yeah, it worked out well. How's everybody today?
fantastic.
Thank you all for coming down. Come on, man. Don't leave me hanging. All right. I always want to thank the very last person in line. That is so nice. What? Oh, you got me on camera now. That's free meal?
Right?
Okay. Thank you, folks. How was it?
It was awesome.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Tell all these people, because I'm not related to you, and they're waiting in line for a while. So, people always ask me, is it like this every day when they see these crowds? And I said, you know, the way I try to always approach it is, it was like this yesterday, and I'm glad it's like this today, and I hope it's like this tomorrow, but you can never take it for granted. All right, what's the verdict? Can I keep cooking? I listened to a lot of music, and this morning I was walking and I was listening to Keb Mo. It's a family affair. Excuse me. I was just telling those ladies back there, when somebody asks me how I'm doing, I always say I've been blessed. I get to barbecue for a living. You know, if you do what you love, then you don't ever have to be off. You know, it's like, you know, if you love climbing a mountain, then where do you want to be? You want to be climbing that mountain. And if you're out there 24/7, then you're doing exactly what you like.
So the first step in making the sauce for our dumplings is to actually make a teriyaki sauce. Now, you've probably purchased teriyaki sauce many times in the grocery store, but it's really, really easy to make, and it tastes a lot better when you make it yourself. Very inexpensive, easy to find ingredients. We have a 1/2 cup of soy sauce mixed with a 1/4 cup of water, 1½ teaspoons of chopped fresh ginger, 1½ teaspoons of chopped fresh garlic. Pretty easy so far. Now, don't freak out when I tell you this, but it's a 1/4 cup of sugar with a tablespoon of brown sugar plus 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. It's already in the bottle when you buy it in the store. You just don't realize how much is in there. And our last ingredient is a sweet rice cooking wine, and this is a great ingredient to have on hand if you do any Asian style cooking. Very easy to find, again, in grocery stores, and we want about 2 tablespoons. Now, all you have to do to make your teriyaki sauce is cook this on medium to medium-high heat until the sugar is dissolved. Now, while I finish up this teriyaki sauce, I want to introduce you to Quy Tran and take you over to My Lee, which is known far and wide as an industry hangout.
Quy Tran in My Lee is simply amazing. I swear the guy's everywhere and knows everyone. Every time I'm at My Lee, he's there. Most of the time when I go somewhere else, he's there. I don't know how he does it. It's like he's Superman or something.
I constantly crave the salt and pepper calamari from My Lee. It doesn't hurt that I get to chat with Quy.
He always has this amazing smile, brightening up the room. Just genuine, good guy, a true leader in the St. Louis culinary scene.
It's the typical boat story. You hear a lot of Vietnamese people. My dad was actually a soldier in the South Vietnamese Army. Either we leave and die trying to find freedom, or we just die there. There's no other choice, but there's no other choice. So they came here, and Dad picked up 3 jobs, Mom picked up 3 jobs, and they were the next generation Ellis Island immigrants. I mean, it's like I said, it's the American dream. It's what America's built on. We're proud to be Americans, and that's the story. And so we came here with nothing, couldn't speak any English. Started a business, and the rest is history. She learned all the systems. She worked at various Chinese restaurants, learned the food, learned their systems, sauces. And so she basically said that, we're gonna open a Chinese restaurant, because she figured that's what was hot back in the day. So, and we did, and it didn't do so well because there was many well-known Chinese restaurants at the time. And so she took a big gamble, and she said that we're Vietnamese, why don't we do Vietnamese food? Luckily for us, the great, late Joe Pollock came in, and he ate there. And then a week later, he wrote about it and said that he's never had anything like this in his life. And he said, everybody needs to try Vietnamese food. So say hi to Mom. Here's Mom. Here's where she makes all the magic happen. So part of the thing is, it's all Mom's recipe. So Mom's the master, but the crazy thing is there is no recipe. It's always like, she goes, hey son, how's this taste? And I'm like, that tastes good. Or then I'll be like, Mom, is this missing something? She goes, no, that's perfect. So that's why when someone asks us to develop a recipe or go on a show or do some type of cooking, it takes me a week to develop the recipe. So it's crazy. So that's kind of that's our recipe development there. So this is our huge kitchen line. So we got a 30-foot line. So yeah, I mean, usually if you guys can come on through, usually if you walk into someone else's kitchen, you get 18,000, 30,000 BTU. So on our walk system, this is what you get. So it's a totally different animal. They're prepping shrimp egg rolls right now. So we do everything by hand. There's nothing that we buy. We make everything from all of our sauces, egg rolls, spring rolls, I mean everything. There's nothing that we don't make ourselves. So everything's always fresh. So for us, every morning, as we're making our pho and all of our other stocks, we make a separate chicken stock and beef stock for us when we're cooking, when we're stir frying everything every day, every morning. We're in there at 8 a.m. And I wish I could show you guys, if you're here a little early, we've already strained it, but this is the world famous pho stock. So this is, we've already strained all the bones. So out of, 2 huge buckets, this is what's left. So you kind of seen the operation. It's quite a long line. If you do good food, I think they will come. And my mother, she's a phenomenal cook, and she's done this, and she's done a great job. And for me, it's the most humbling. It's the most humbling, and I couldn't be more grateful because of that. Because if you ask the chefs in town, they show us so much support, and so for me, I'm more than happy to give it back. I'm glad that they love how we cook. How my mom cooked and how I cook. So that's a great thing. 12 years ago, I would say, where are we going to go eat? 12 years later, I'm like, where are we going to go eat? Because it's incredible. I get excited every time we talk about food in St. Louis because I think, it's one of the greatest in the country. I really do. I'm so proud of the city, and come on, the guys, you talk about Nashon, he's on a major publication every week. Gerard's on a major publication every week. You got Mike Emerson, who was just on The Chew yesterday. He's like a rock star. I told him he has to sign my body somewhere now. Vietnamese food in St. Louis is popular because of my mother. If you can be here and spend your entire life here dedicating yourself to what you love and introducing the cuisine to the community, and they will taste the passion, and they will taste your hard work, and and the soul that you put into the food, and that's really I think that's 90% of the battle. She's incredible. Her palate is amazing, her flavors and how she puts things together. It's great, and I was fortunate enough to learn from that. But she's an absolute pioneer. What I'm doing is not so much about me, but more of continuing her legacy here in St. Louis.
Now I'm going to finish up making the sauce, and I'm also going to make the filling for our dumplings. Now, this is our finished teriyaki sauce. It's even still warm from the stove. The first ingredient we're gonna mix in is sesame seed oil. Now, this is something you can't mix in something else. If you want this flavor, this is the only ingredient then you can use, and it smells absolutely like freshly ground sesame seeds. We're gonna add in about a tablespoon of just crushed red pepper flakes, white vinegar, a couple tablespoons of honey. Now we've got just a little bit of scallions, fresh lime, and just a bit of cilantro. And there you have it. That is your sauce, and it's extremely easy to make. Now we're moving on to our filling. Now at Sydney Street, it is actually a veal dumpling, but I'm using ground turkey. Number one, it's much more readily available, but also I try to be very careful. If I'm gonna source veal, I wanna know that it was humanely and sustainably raised. All right, so we have about 1.5 pounds of ground turkey. You can also use ground pork, or if you wanna use ground chicken, any kind of mild meat will work. This is a 1/4 pound of spinach that is just steamed, squeezed, and chopped up. We also want a couple tablespoons of corn kernels. The next ingredient is half of a roasted red pepper. I have roasted this previously and allowed it to cool inside of a paper bag. You can also use a Tupperware container if you don't have a paper bag on hand. And it makes it so that you can very, very easily remove the skin. Now, you open up your pepper and you can see all the seeds are here. We're just gonna scrape those guys out. And we only want half of this guy, so the other half is gonna go in a frittata this weekend. You wanna make the pieces pretty small because it is going to be the filling of a dumpling. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add in my oyster sauce. We also have a bit of sriracha, which everybody knows is a hot sauce, 1 egg, that is it. I'm just gonna go ahead and mix this together really thoroughly. And while I'm doing that, let's head over to Niche in Clayton and get to know Gerard Kraft.
Who doesn't want to emulate Gerard's every move? I mean, he's the goal.
So there's certainly a lot of chefs that are doing amazing things in St. Louis, and what's so special about Gerard is that he's doing it at multiple venues, he's doing it with diverse staffs, and he's doing it across different culinary genres.
Gerard's building a restaurant empire in St. Louis that has put St. Louis on the map across the country, and some could even argue, internationally.
The conversation about food in St. Louis has certainly changed in large part due to what he's doing every day.
When I first opened Niche, all I knew is that I wanted people to show up. My time in St. Louis is about 8 years right now and has evolved more than I could ever imagine. We've also added 3 other restaurants to our group in that time. We have Brasserie, which serves my love of French bistro food. Taste, which serves small plates, creative takes on a lot of rustic, classic dishes, paired with really great, well-balanced cocktails. And Pastaria, which serves my love of the country of Italy. Niche has really turned into a restaurant that focuses on our region, and in our region in a much more elegant and sophisticated way than it used to. All my restaurants came about very selfishly. Paris is my favorite city in the entire world, and I love the really down and dirty bistros and brasseries that serve hearty fare at reasonable prices with fresh ingredients. Some of my favorite food in the world. Italy is my favorite country, and as a country, it just has the most humble, heartwarming food and people that you can imagine. I really wanted to translate that into the way people ate, with family and friends and just good, simple food. The purpose of how Taste opened, again, selfishly, I'm a pretty shy person by nature, and I wanted a place where I could go get a sophisticated drink, which I like doing after a hard night's work, but in a place where I could talk to people. That served that purpose, as well as serving food late at night, which is almost impossible to find good food late at night. So I have a large team, an army, if you will. At Brasserie, I have Michael Petrus, who just has an amazing love for classical French cuisine. Pastaria, we have Brian Moxie. It was opened, however, by Adam Altenether, who's my co-chef at Niche now. Adam came to us starting as a prep cook and almost a gopher, and has worked his way up to co-owner and my partner and friend. Brian Moxie came on as the sous chef at Pastaria from Hearth in New York City. And again, an extraordinary young man who has a dedication to traditional cooking. Matt Doherty over at Taste has always been amazing. He takes his food just as seriously as he did when we were cooking at Niche together. He's doing that over at Taste, and I think that's what makes casual food work sometimes, is when somebody really takes it seriously. It's not just a slider. The way the chefs here in St. Louis work together is extraordinary and not normal, I would say. You don't find it everywhere. And when I first came to town, there were a lot of chefs that took really, really good care of me. I wish you could see it play by play. I wish there was a way to show all of the diners play by play how far our community has come. People should care about our culinary scene, number one, because it's one more reason to come here. Come experience what we have, because I think in life we have preconceived notions about places that we've never been or never experienced. And I think until somebody comes here, comes to one of the great restaurants, goes out to wine country, goes to Chalmette or Bethlehem and drinks some of their wine and sits in the most beautiful part of Missouri, that nobody's really gonna know until they do it. So we need to get them here. And that's step number one, is getting them to come here. It's a team effort to get the country, the world, talking about where we are in St. Louis. And I think the craziest thing is, I was just in Paris, and there were chefs in Paris who knew about the St. Louis culinary scene. And that's really saying something for how far we've come.
Now it's time to stuff our dumplings. These are store-bought wonton wrappers. The recipe calls for circular ones, and I couldn't find them, and it doesn't matter because it basically does the same thing. These are square. One of the things about wonton wrappers is you don't want them to dry out. So have on hand a dampened just paper towel to lay over the surface, and you're good to go. Now, what we're gonna do is take our top wrapper, make sure you only have one, and laying it flat in your hand, you just take a rounded tablespoon worth of the filling mixture, place it inside of the dumpling pouch. This is just a little bit of water that I'm going to run along the edge so that when I close it up, it will stick. We just kind of close this little guy up around our turkey filling. This is gonna be so good when it's finished. I can't wait to eat it. And you want to flatten it just ever so slightly with a little bit of the meat mixture still sticking out so it forms something of a pouch. Transfer this to a plate, cover it up with another damp towel so it doesn't dry out. Just keep repeating the process until you have as many as you want. Now I'm going to keep filling these dumplings, and as I do, let's get to know Kevin Nashin and take a visit to the No Kid Hungry Dinner at Sydney Street Cafe. You're gonna meet some amazing chefs.
This is the guy. This is the guy right here. Kevin is the best guy in and out of the kitchen. Yeah, a great guy, a premier chef, just really a genuine individual.
And I've known him for about 7 years, and in that time, I've never seen the bottom of his well of inspiration for all of us. And I'm honored to have this Billy Goat right here to help me share in the celebration of this good man.
Without a doubt.
Sometimes we just gotta ask ourselves, what would Kevin Nashin do?
We even wear a little bracelet.
All right, short and sweet. Thank you so much. Obviously, this hits home. We do a lot of work with Operation Food Search, and this, the parent company is Share Our Strength, so it hits right in our backyard, along nationally. And just thanks a lot. Every little dime's going to help, and hope you enjoy tonight. Thank you so much. Now we're doing, another dinner for something that I, hold true to, and it's in our backyard, and we're trying to raise awareness that these kids are hungry and we need to do something about it. And it's a great cause for No Kid Hungry and Operation Food Search and that kind of thing, but it's also a great cause for St. Louis. And that's why I love trying to get as many people together and trying to do it, because I want to beat our drum. And I want everyone to just talk about it, because everyone's doing so many amazing things, and it's not all the same. It's not cookie cutter. It's different, and that's what the city's about. We have Kevin Willman from Farmhouse. We have Gerard Kraft from Niche. We have Jason Vincent from Nightwood. We have Stephanie Izzard, and she's from Girl and the Goat. Michael Paley from Metropole in Cincinnati, Ohio. Wonderful Bob, our pastry chef, is going to be doing the last course. Well, the community is everything. I mean, it's kind of like a family, like my tight-knit family too. It's like, if you're not supportive of it and immerse yourself with it and love it, then it's not going to grow. And so I think that, it means so much to me to get everybody involved, and I wish everyone was involved with everything that happened in town, because, why should anyone be excluded? It just helps give everybody an opportunity to raise the bar on a ground level, because, one person never does it, and two people never do it. A community, and it's all based on a village kind of perspective, and it takes a lot of those ants, and we're all ants trying to build this village, and it's based on a really strong foundation. by us being around for such a long time and always striving to be better and that kind of thing, us along with probably 20 other restaurants, it really has helped St. Louis evolve in the food community, especially in the last 5-6 years. It's really come in shape. But I like to think of us as someone who is reliable and strives to do the best and appreciate our customers and people that we work with. First and foremost, my buddy Gerard Kraft, he's one of my best friends, but he single-handedly really opened the gap for our town. It was a good amount of buzz, and it allowed other people to kind of, challenge the diner, but in a good way. It's not like, you don't want to ever be ostentatious. You don't want to like shove something in somebody's face, but saying, hey, listen, there is so many cool ingredients in our backyard. Let's educate you and hold your hand through the process, and then let's have a good time. And so that's the start of the ride. I love food. I love making myself better and making the customer's experience better. So trying to always do things without jeopardizing the experience and their palate, and that is just fun. There's nothing better than looking at something and being like, God, that is incredible. You look with your eyes right away, and then your senses and everything. So it doesn't have a pattern. Each dish is different. It doesn't matter if I've looked at 15 cookbooks and I got an idea, or maybe it was something of a past experience. I worked in a different restaurant, or it's beautiful ingredients. And that's what I try to strive with the experience here, is just kind of a rustic, elegant, whereas anybody can come in here and have a great time and experience what we're trying to accomplish.
So now we're ready to cook our dumplings. Just a couple of tablespoons of grapeseed oil are in this pan, and I've chosen to use nonstick just in case, because you never know. So now my dumplings have been sitting underneath that paper towel. Make sure they have enough space. These are gonna cook about 7 minutes until they're golden brown on one side. I flipped them over, and then I've added that sauce into the pan. The room smells fantastic. Okay, so these gorgeous dumplings are finished. I'm just gonna dress them with just a tiny bit more of that sauce that we made. Now, obviously, I've shown you how to make these at home, but this is a Sydney Street Cafe classic, and if you've never had it before, get over to Sydney Street and try it. So this is just a little bit of shiitake mushrooms, ginger, and tomato. It's what they serve with these dumplings at Sydney Street. Now, what I'm gonna be pairing with these dumplings is, again, a vignole. It has a wonderful acidity, which will cut through the richness of these dumplings, and a wonderful sweetness that will cut through the spice. Now, I hope that you've enjoyed meeting some of the best food people in St. Louis. I know that I've enjoyed introducing them to you, and make sure to pick up the August issue of Feast to read about the rest. And of course, I want to thank our presenting sponsors, Missouri Wines. Cheers.
Found this billy goat on the side of the road. He's gonna help me talk about my buddy Kevin.
This is the hero. He's the man in St. Louis restaurant scene. Always has been. He's our mayor. He's our buddy.
Proud to call him friend.
I don't know what else to tell you, St. Louis. That's as good as it gets.